Hello, everybody, and happy Juneteenth, and welcome to a very special live version of Saving You a Seat, because we're saving you a seat for what we are all going to watch together from the young lady right. I hate to say below us, but right there,
right here on screen with us.
Yes, right there. This is Michelle. You wrote this beautiful piece, and do you want to give us a little introduction to what it is and tell everybody a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm excited to be a part of this. So my name is Michelle, and I wrote the film The Surrogate, which is about a man who hires a surrogate father for the afternoon to try and process some of his trauma before he settles down and has a child. And this is inspired by the Japanese rent-a-family model, where you might rent a family member for the day or so for companionship. But this is sort of a reverse, where you're sort of getting a therapeutic take on it. So yeah, that's The Surrogate.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
We're all about to experience it ourselves, watch it together. So we will do that right here, right now. Let's let me get it back to one.
I'm really pumped about this because, as I was saying before we got started, I've reviewed many a film, but I have never reviewed a film with a filmmaker before. I am stoked to do this. Like, I think the only thing I did closest to this, and Joe, you'll remember when on the old Plotaholics, when we reviewed Velocipaster, and we had the co-lead of Velocipaster on with us.
Nice.
Sadly enough, my pitch for the sequel, Rabadactyl, was not picked up. But
one is left to wonder why.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, a rabbi that turns into a pterodactyl, it writes itself, man.
It really does. All right, y'all. Here we go with The Surrogate, and then we'll be back to talk to Michelle a little bit more, and we'll welcome your questions too. So if you're here watching it with us live, take some notes, and hopefully we'll all have some good questions for Michelle after this is all over. So enjoy The Surrogate, and we'll be right back.
Daryl, thanks for coming.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Do I pay now or?
After's fine.
You been doing this long?
Couple of years, give or take.
So your experience then?
One could say that.
Should we sit on the couch? I haven't really done this before.
I wouldn't imagine you have.
Yeah, no, this is a first for me. Shall we?
No, here's fine.
Okay. Should we talk first? History, safe words.
That's not really necessary.
Sorry, I should grab you a glass.
I'm okay.
So how does this work exactly?
I'll play the role of your father. You be yourself. Everything you ever wanted to say to him, you say to me. I'm here to listen to you and respond to you as if I was him. In order for me to be accurate, it's best that I know very little about how he hurt you. Sometimes people don't know how they hurt the ones they love.
Okay. So I'll just start then.
Whenever you're ready.
What happened? Where were you? I mean, did you even want to be a dad? Because it certainly didn't seem like it.
I was the best father I could be.
What? How? You were never there. You did nothing for us. We did everything ourselves.
Is that what you think? Who paid the electricity bill? Who paid for the roof above your head, the shoes on your feet? You didn't think about that, did you? You and your mama had a free ride.
You're so goddamn selfish.
I'm selfish. How about a thank you?
Thank you for what? You were never there. How can I thank someone who was never there?
I worked 12-hour shifts on site 2 weeks at a time. You don't know what I went through. And then I come home and I want to have a drink. But every time I drank, your mother would get angry at me. So I go to the bar for a bit, for some peace of mind, some sanity, so I could do my job day in, day out. You don't know what I went through. You don't know how they treated a man who looked like me.
You've got to be kidding me if you think that's what being a good father is. What? You think we didn't need you? Didn't want you around for more than just the holidays or when things were going good? You think we didn't need you?
What do you want from me, kid?
My girl's pregnant.
I didn't know.
Yeah. How could you? You don't know nothing about me. See, that's the difference between you and me. I'm gonna be the father I never had. I'm gonna be there for all those moments, for his first steps. I'm gonna make sure his mom knows I love her. Be there to teach him how to ride a bike, shoot some hoops, to drive a car. God damn, most of all, he's gonna know that I love him.
It's a boy. A grandson. You know, I was a lot like you when I found out I was having a son. I wanted to give him everything. You everything. I took that job up north so I could provide for you kids. Then I'd come home after 2-3 weeks away and there'd be a new drawing on the wall, or somebody lost a tooth, or somebody could walk. It seemed like you kids were doing fine without me. Heck, I was worried that the more time you spend with me, the worse off you'd be. My biggest fear is I didn't want to be like my father either. I'm an alcoholic, Markus. It's the only thing my father gave me. Didn't learn how to love. Can't control my temper, and I get mad at myself when I do. But that's not gonna be your problem, son. And that's not gonna be your son's problem. Because it stops with you, Markus. You get to break the chain.
See, I know I'm going to be a good father.
I know you will, son. And sometimes I wish I could go back and do things differently. But you look like you turned out all right.
Yeah, I did. But it would have been better if you were here.
I know. You're a good son. And I love you.
I love you too.
Where's your father now?
At a cemetery, off 7th.
You gonna be all right?
Yeah, I think I will.
And there you go, everybody. That was The Surrogate, written and produced by Michelle. I'm gonna try. Correct me, please. Do correct me if I. Owusu.
Close. It's Owusu.
Owusu.
Yeah, it's from Ghana, West Africa.
Well, thank you first and foremost for letting us have this opportunity to share this with our audience, and also for us to watch it personally. We're real grateful for that opportunity, and thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, especially just on Juneteenth. I think it is a special time to be showing films like this and having conversations about this. So I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. That hit me. That hit me in my soul. I just lost my father a few months ago. And before he passed, we were finally able to make peace. So I'm really glad that I didn't have to do something like this, because there were a lot of things that I wanted to say, but I said what needed to be said. So really watching this really sort of, I think that continued to give a little bit of closure, because I realized that, and I think that a lot of times, especially in the Black community, where even still in 2025, this idea of hypermasculinity is still so prevalent that it's difficult to allow ourselves to feel, as men, because there's an idea of what being a Black man is. And a lot of the times when we're not able to, it's hard. I give credit to this generation for being able to finally start to express these emotions. And it was just that I was just very, very powerful. You know, short film, I think, is just a completely different art form, because you've got to say so much in a short amount of time. And when you can have well-written dialogue and just well played off, just bravo.
Thank you for sharing that and opening up about your story as well, because I think you feeling comfortable and sharing what you just shared just helps to break the mold even more. And I think we need to continue to have conversations like that. So thank you for sharing your piece. And I'm sorry about your father. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I think more of that needs to be done. Not just in, you know, African American community, just, you know, in the Black community as a whole, especially in the entire diaspora. Yeah. Because the one thing that, and, you know, Michelle, I think you and I can definitely attest to, peek behind the curtain for you, Joe, in the Black community as a whole. I think that we here, you know, African Americans in the States, and even, you know, in African Canadians, there's this sort of cultural misunderstanding between those in the motherland, you know, from, you know, other avenues of the diaspora, you know, in, you know, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, you know, the Caribbean, and even in the motherland and in Africa. So, but the one thing that unites us all is that this idea of being a Black man. So that the pain from, you know, the son and just getting it all out finally, and then you've got this elder it's not even so much that he's making excuses. It's just like, look, this is my piece. And he even said, I don't want to know, because we don't know the pain that we cause.
Exactly.
And he's not making excuses. It's just, look, this was my truth. This is how it was from my perspective. And I even said to my son at one point, you know, there was a time that I felt that you were better off without me. I've said that too. And then he said, no, I need you. And it's like, well, okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Let's show up.
There's power in those conversations. And I think you touch on an important part of sometimes parents really don't know. And I think that's a piece that I really want to call out, especially if you are a Black father. Often there are social pressures that you have in the workforce, or you have just being a Black man walking down the street that you carry as well as being a father. And so that's sometimes pressures that we don't see. And so you might blame your father for so many things, but, you know, they're up against a lot out in the world as well. So wanted to draw attention to that.
Yeah. And it was a great job too, because I think that as Black men, you know, and I at least I know for me, I can't speak for everybody, you know, who am I to speak for everybody? But I remember as a kid, up until, you know, the Cosby Show, granted, what we know now changes that a bit, but even to like Family Matters, because we didn't have TV shows of the strong, the two-parent household Black family back then. I mean, we had it with Good Times, but even with you know, the Jeffersons, it wasn't really portraying, you know, parents raising a kid. Their kid was already grown. After the Jeffersons, we didn't really have anything that was, you know, mainstream until the Cosby Show. And then, you know, we got Fresh Prince, then we got Family Matters, you know, but it was nowhere near as prevalent, because you got like what, maybe one a decade, maybe two. Look at all the other sitcoms out there. So I think that a portrayal like this, where it's free of negative stereotype, and it's just a situation that people of all races can understand, because there's a son that has a father that he wishes that he could say these things to.
Yeah.
And I think that, number one, it was great to be able to do it free of stereotype, but it still speaks strongly to the community.
I'm curious, Michelle, did you, in researching this aspect of what this was, did you go through this process yourself?
In my own personal life? Yeah, that's a good question. I did grow up with a father that suffered a lot of racism. We lived in a really small town in Kitimat, British Columbia. And before he came, like I had not known him in this version, but he was a very friendly, loving man and person. But he like got bullied a lot and teased a lot at work and a lot of racial slurs towards him. And it caused him to drink a lot to be able to provide. He had 6 children, and it caused him to drink a lot. So he did pull away. And my older siblings would tell us stories about how great he used to be. But when I was growing up with him, he was a bit colder just because of it. And there was a period of time when he was still an alcoholic that you'd go and you'd ask questions or you'd say your piece, but he just would not hear it. He was just kind of in his own depressive world. And just filled with so much shame and pain. And it wasn't until he got sober that like he was a completely different person and just a lot warmer and able to hear things. And so I really did get to experience that piece where you're talking to somebody different. And so I definitely have had an experience like that. And you're right, it's not just in one community, it's across the board. I think when we filmed this at the Calgary Film Festival, there was a lot of tears like across so many different people that really felt it. And I think it's a war against, I think it's the war against the patriarchy, which is a system that often rewards men for working and grinding and not expressing themselves and saying things are too much or getting help and going to therapy. And one of the only ways that's socially acceptable for men often is through drugs or alcohol and sex. And that was one of the biggest themes in this as well. At the very beginning, you might catch it. It's kind of hard to see, but you're not sure if he's like hiring a male stripper or like a sex worker or something. And that's where you often sometimes, men might, or even anyone might turn to that to help cope with some pain. And so it's kind of drawing light to that in a very short time. And it's a short film, so it's not really real. It's a slice of life. It's kind of distorted in so many ways, and the conversation speeds up and then slows down. But it's just a way to sort of explore those deep feelings. And we used in the writing like a lot of common words that you would hear maybe your father would say, just to sort of trigger that for yourself. So it's very on the nose, but done on purpose so that most people can feel like, oh, I've heard this before, I've seen this before, and just to draw light that this is something that happens over and over and over again. And it's a common conversation in many households.
Well, I imagine too for the surrogates, they have to do that just so that they can be relatable and kind of attach themselves to what is going on, and I mean, there's broad generalizations, but then there was some really deep specifics that he listens very well. And for an actor, that's a really good trait too, which it shows off as well. And we can talk about that a little bit too, but I really felt like what it resonated with me in the dialogue aspect of it, because this guy had no idea. I mean, he might have been given a family history. I don't know the whole backstory to it, but or how it works in terms of that. But it looked like he came in there very cold and very he was just assuming. And then once he started to listen to the young man talking to him, he kind of then knew he was on the right track, and he was pushing that narrative a little bit forward because he was listening to what he was saying, and that enabled him to kind of guide this conversation and let him open up and feel vulnerable.
Yeah, it's true. And I think you really nailed it on the head there, especially I think at the beginning, where the way that Markus acts, he's very people pleasy, but he's also cold and distant, and you can kind of sense, or Daryl should try to sense that, he's really wanting or desiring connection, but doesn't know how to do it and just thinks he has to perform or act in order to receive that. And so hopefully Daryl was trying to pick up on that to realize how to maybe pretend to be his dad.
You know what we call that in the industry, Brian? We call that good fucking writing is what we call that. Okay. Incredible writing.
Now, is that a technical term? I mean, is that a technical term? Is that in the textbook?
It is.
Is that going to be on the final?
It is. Okay. It is in the screenwriter's Bible. Yes.
Okay, cool. So Michelle, my question for you is, during the filming of this, now granted, my acting experience is, more in theater. I did High School Musical, so high school theater. But and I do know that there were certain scenes where the emotion got really real. How difficult was it for your actors in those really high tension moments? Was it difficult for them to take it up and then come down? Did they have to take a moment? Like, did you have to call cut for their own sort of peace of mind, or were they able to just go through it and then just sort of take time to decompress?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's a good question for the director. He did a brilliant job at managing that. So it's a very low budget film done in one space, a hotel room. And if you can imagine, there was probably about 30, I would say there was about 20 crew in that room with them. And that scene, it was a little difficult because the beginning, it's supposed to be a bit of a plot twist. But when you shoot, we had to shoot some scenes out of order. And so some of the emotional ones were done first, which I think was helpful, but it's hard to carry that emotion throughout or do those changes and switches for such a complex topic. So it was very tricky, but I think the actors did their best. And also like being in such a tight corner to like contain those emotions all the time. Even at the end, they were supposed to cry. There was supposed to be a tear, but it was hard to kind of get that done just because it is tiring. And we also shot probably, I think we did a 12-hour day. Started at 7 a.m, went to like 6:37. So it was a hard one, but the actors, they came through.
I think having no tears is probably for the best because a lot of the time, because for me, it sort of goes to show that, again, in that patriarchy, men don't cry. You feel the feelings. And even though you feel the feelings and there is that catharsis, I think that a lot of men, I know for me, I do, when I see women that are able to cry and get it out, I get really jealous because it's like, man, if I could just get that out. But I've been conditioned to not. So I think that the emotion that was there and they're getting as much out as they can. And I mean, it was great. Like,
I think for me, the crying actually was when he stands up and turns his back to him, and that was like the emotional.
That was the man cry.
And I think that was a really cool idea. I don't know if that was the actor's idea or if that was in the script, but it was a very poignant point for that, and I was really impressed by the acting in that moment because I think that was the crying for.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so well said. That's directors. I'll give him the kudos to that one.
Well, Joe, let me ask you this: did you notice that it looked like he wanted to reach out to him, and when it looked like he was about to, he saw him sort of shrink back a little bit, and it was like boundaries.
Yeah.
That was great.
There was a professional line that was being drawn there, and he almost crosses it too toward the end where he looks like he wants to hug him.
Yes.
He kind of steps forward and then he takes a step back, realizing he's got a boundary he's got to keep, right? So very, very, very well done in that regard. Was this the director's first film, Michelle?
This was their second short film.
Okay. I wonder how long. And this is me. I'm geeking it. Okay, I'm the film guy, so you'll have to forgive me. And I don't know if you were there on set for the whole thing.
I was there all day. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm curious because I have an inkling that shot of them at the doorway probably was the thing you took the longest on.
Oh my God, it was because we did a drive-by, I think, on the outside and then the inside. It did take forever. It did.
Which is the best shot in the entire film. Personally, that's what I personally feel like. When I saw that, I geeked out. I don't know if you saw me, but I was like, "Oh my God, that's awesome! I love that. I love the reverse 360.
Yeah,
very, very clever. I thought that was really good. And yeah, I can imagine the director going, I don't have many good opportunities to have good shots here.
We're going to take this one.
Yeah, I think it's part of his demo reel too. It is a great shot. He did a great job. He did. Incredible.
Anyway, that's my geeking out. Sorry.
He's currently on Billy the Kid right now as an assistant director. So he is.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were saying that this was when this was showcased in Calgary and there weren't any, like, how much can you sort of gauge in that moment with the crowd's emotion, how there wasn't really a dry eye in the house? As a writer and as a filmmaker, how much of that made you feel like I did it? This was my vision and I realized it.
That's a good question. I mean, there was definitely some dry eyes in there. I'm a writer, so I'm a little bit dramatic. But there's definitely, I think I definitely felt something that other people were connecting with it. I think I felt very vulnerable and very exposed. There was a moment where I was like, oh my God, why did I just allow one of my deepest, darkest moments or feelings like out into the world, and now everyone can see it. And so I felt very exposed. And at the same time, I felt really warm that other people connected with the story. But yeah, it was a very cathartic experience. And yeah.
How was it acting in the movie?
Yeah.
And yeah, we needed somebody. I wanted to show just sort of like the end of like the happy ending, because I think it was a very emotional, like even other people that had watched it, like, you know, felt something. And so I wanted it to end with a bit of a nice little uplift. So yeah, we did some acting at the end.
Was the football scene was it a cut scene that you guys decided we needed to get that in there somehow, some way, and that's kind of how it worked out?
Yeah, one of my friends, she was there with her kid. I'm like, why don't we just add him in and make it seem like, yes, we added them in and did a quick.
Sorry, I'm exposing all the bad filmmaking secrets.
Oh yeah, that was a bit of a cut. Like,
come on,
like,
Joe.
The kid did something, and then he kind of like did a weird movement, or it didn't work. So we were like, okay, we'll just go to there, and then.
Plus, it doesn't really work for the 11 minute, the 10 and a half minutes that the kid being involved in this. He was not alive when this happened, so it doesn't make sense to have the kid in the movie until the end. So it kind of worked out for that favor in that respect. This is very well paced. This is very well organized. And how much did you talk to the director about, the stanzas and having it paced like it was? Was that a topic of heavy conversation between you guys?
In terms of pacing, that wasn't a heavy conversation. We did talk a lot about, I think we talked a lot about making sure we got the right shots and really like finding emotion, like with like even like swallowing with your Adam's apple and like shaking with your hands. So those were some things that we added that slowed down the pacing, I would say. But we really wanted to get those like human visceral experiences and make sure that came through.
I won't expose all the secrets here, but I'll tell you how I knew it was either his first or second film when we're
it's good feedback. I appreciate that.
I'll tell you what I really what I think the director did a good job with as well. This, for as short as it was, it felt a lot longer, and I say that in a good way because for me, when a movie or a story feels long, when I say that means I didn't feel like anything was missed. I feel like we got everything. That it was a great use of the time. Because I know a lot of the times, as an author, I'll write something and then it's like, well, that doesn't feel very long. But then I go over it again. It's like, wow, that's really, really long. Like if I'm writing a fight scene, wow, this doesn't feel very long. Meanwhile, well, a real fight doesn't last long. So, no, the pacing and the time for the 10, 12, 15 minutes of it felt like almost full length. Like it had that full length emotion. So, and I mean, once again, that's what we call in the author industry, good fucking writing.
Absolutely, 100%. And that is definitely in Save the Cat. I'm also curious, when you were writing it, because this is so personal, right? This is you're drawing from a lot of personal stuff here. How careful were you about it? Or did you feel like at some point you were like, I'm letting it all out and I just feel good about letting it all out?
That's a good question. I remember, I think I had a glass of wine while I wrote it. I was at a restaurant and I think I hammered it out in like an hour, but it took me a while to refine it and fix the dialogue. I think I did tear up at the end of it. Like when I did write it, I was like, oh, there's something special here. Like it feels personal, it feels real. And so I was like, okay, I've written a bunch of other little things, but I was like, if I'm going to take something and bring it to light, this might be a good one to choose.
Yeah, that's definitely, and I tell you what, I think that a lot of folks, when they say, because I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard it as well, Joe, I know you've heard it, when people are first getting started, whether they're looking to write a novel or write a screenplay, first question you get asked, well, how do I do this? And it's like, you just do it. Like there is no magic pill. There is no secret formula. You just do it. Whether, like, for one of my books, it was sitting in a coffee shop in Vermont. For you, it's sitting and having a glass of wine. You've got to have something to say. And then you just have to have the courage to do it. And I think that for anybody that is, sorry, my dog is doing things, getting into stuff. But whenever you're doing these things, and this is more a statement, let me know if you agree or disagree. Having something to say, having the courage to say it, but then also making yourself vulnerable within yourself. Because for writing something so personal, you've got to really do some real soul searching, looking yourself in the eye, looking at yourself in the mirror to put the words down.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that you felt that you had to do? Is that a statement that you can definitely tap dance to?
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, growing up with a father that maybe doesn't express his emotions very much, you might not know how to express your emotions very much. So I think writing and poetry has been one of my outlets. And growing up, I've always had so many questions around, like, why are things the way that they are? And so writing and reading other people's work as well has helped me sort of unpack a lot of things. And so that it's definitely been a therapeutic thing for myself.
And you've written prose before too. So what, in writing a screenplay, we often talk about it's a different muscle you're using with your brain to write, a different writing muscle and a different mentality. Did you enjoy that aspect of it, or was that a difficult process for you?
The writing, that's a good question. I would say I'm not like I love writing. I wouldn't say I'm the most I'm not a literary genius. It's not something that I won't let it hold me back, but I'm definitely an editor. So I'll go back and edit and get feedback. But yeah, it's definitely, I would say I enjoy it. I do feel like I lose time while I'm writing. I sometimes it does feel like there's another, like a spirit that kind of overtakes you and you just kind of keep going and you're in this rhythm. I really enjoy getting there. Sometimes it takes a while, but yeah, definitely, I definitely enjoy it. For sure.
Well, the reason I asked that question is because I'm curious, this is not going to be your only screenplay, I hope.
I hope not. I did go back to work and kind of got really busy. I've been working on my first novel, but I would like to, I also still help out with Friends films. So I'm working on a Friends film right now called Gas Money. We shoot in July. But yeah, so I do want to shoot some more things, and that is my goal, is to continue to write.
Well,
sounds like you're enjoying the producing aspect then.
I do enjoy producing. I'm a consultant by day, so I like the idea of producing. It's a lot of project management, and then you also get that creative piece as well. So,
well, hey, if you want to do a full length thing about a vampire beating the crap out of people, let me know.
Say no more. Say no more. Let's do it.
Hey, I wouldn't mind taking a trip to Canada. I haven't been to Canada in over 20 years.
Okay, I think it's about time then. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, my next question was going to be, what's next? Like, you say, so you're working on your first novel. You're doing a lot of the producing aspect. You're shooting this new project in July. When can we expect these things to really come about so we can be talking about them again here on Saving a Seat and on the Go Indie Now network as a whole?
Oh, that would be great. So in terms of the Gas Money film, that's going to be coming out in January. That'll probably be that time after we're done editing and put it through the festivals and all those sorts of things. My novel, I'm just querying for a literary agent right now. So pray for me. We'll see what happens. But you can always follow me on Instagram. It's Michelle Owusu. And then my website's also michelleowusu.com.
I'm curious how important it is for you to represent your culture and who you are. Is that the most important thing for you, even in producing? Are you looking at things you want to say in producing within the POC aspect of things and stay in that realm, or are you looking to branch out and do more than just that?
That's a good question. I think representation is always important, regardless of like who you are or how you look or where you're from. Because I know for myself, when I see other people that look like me doing things, it makes me feel like, okay, this is real and this is possible. If I can be that for somebody else, that is an absolute blessing. But yeah, it's definitely something that I feel like is inside of me, and I have to do it. I think one of my biggest fears right now is to, be put into the grave and not have realized or put out the things that I wanted to put out. And so that drives me a lot. So that's something that I definitely feel fortunate right now to be able to do. Filming has become so much more accessible, not just mainly financially. It's easier to make a film right now. There's a lot of grants that are available to get things done. And so there's just not really many excuses, and people are willing to jump in and help. And so it's just a matter of getting it done. Very, very similar to what you said, Bryan, just really putting pen to paper and doing it. And so that's what I'm trying to do, even if it's on the side of my desk.
Yeah, Canada is a hotbed for making film, and also it is very much about supporting its local community.
It is. It really is. Yeah, there's lots of support out here financially, and then as well as people are willing to just lean in, which is amazing.
Do you look at the current climate now, socially, how things here in the U.S. and how it's shaping everything up there in Canada? Are you noticing a sort of a shift in, LGBTQ plus IA or, people of color getting more into the arts now as a way of having something to say as a counter to what's happening, much like how we started to see during Vietnam era? Are you starting to see a lot of that as well from your side of things?
Yeah, in Canada, certainly. I think I'm also starting to see a lot of people from the LGBT community, Black community, Asian community have like power, like they have money and resources to be able to bring other people up in the community, which I think is incredible. And then using their resources to pick stories that are in support of a different agenda, is in the support of more of a more socialist ideology that is sometimes needed to counterbalance what's happening in politics currently today. So that's something that I'm seeing a lot more. And I think viewers as well, having the power to click and to choose and to decide what they want. I think you see as well, viewers are more interested in watching things that are different. Whereas before, people all I guess maybe went towards watching the same thing. So I think it's twofold. The viewer, there's supply and there's demand, I think, on both sides.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead, Bryan.
Do you see yourself maybe starting to, in the filmmaking aspect, maybe start looking more into full-length feature, or are you looking more into sticking with, say, short story, short film?
Yeah, I have several feature films that I would like to get out there. And there's definitely a few that I want to be like Calgary based, but I definitely would like to get into the feature film. I have a dream of doing a Black cowboy film out here in Alberta. And so I'm excited to get that done eventually, but that is definitely one of my dreams.
Speak that into existence.
Yeah.
I'm today. You're going to see it. You're going to see it.
Hey, listen, if you need someone to be a big dumb goofball,
I'll call you, Bryan.
All
right. That's awesome. So Gas Money is a short film then?
It's a short film. It's being shot in Calgary, Alberta, as well as Lloydminster. It's a very interesting thriller film that's kind of set in on like lore in southern Alberta. So essentially there is a backstory of an Indigenous man who hid some gold, and he put a bit of a curse on the gold. Him and a Black fellow hid some gold. They put a curse on the gold that anyone that went to go look for the gold would go crazy. And so the whole film is about a man who's looking for this gold. And as he looks for it, he starts to lose his mind.
Nice.
Very nicely written.
I love psychological thriller. I love it. I was recently introduced to what was it? I think you and I were talking about it a bit, Joe. The anthology short stories of the Walking Dead, and they had that psychological thriller episode, which was absolutely amazing. So I get really excited at the idea of psychological thriller. I really do. Like, I don't know if I could ever like write it, but I love to watch it.
Me too. I like to watch it as well. The time goes by so fast.
Yeah. So what is your favorite genre to dip your toes into? Are you a psychological thriller kind of gal? You a horror? Do you like comedy, drama?
Yeah, I've always liked psychological thrillers. I do find that interesting in terms of like watching and consuming. I would say for my type of writing, it's more family drama, adventure that I tend to kind of go through, and a little bit of slice of life type writing as well. Yeah, those would be my genres for sure.
Nice.
Well, I don't know if you could tell, Michelle, but I personally loved this piece. I thought it was really great, and I'm sure Bryan will echo that.
I wish I had more hands to give more thumbs.
That means so much.
But this is really a triumph. Congratulations on all the success it's garnered and all you're doing. And yeah, please do reach out to us when you're ready to put some more stuff out there. We would love to expose it and put it out there for the world and let people know that you've arrived and that there's a lot of good stuff to come from Michelle.
Oh, thank you. That means so much. And thank you for holding spaces like this and having these conversations. It's very inspiring even just to hear you two talk and speak about this. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Pleasure's all on this side for sure.
Absolutely, 1,000%. I do want to mention to our audience out there that Bryan and I will be back on Saturday. We have a brand new episode of this actual show, Saving a Seat, that will be dropping. And it is the episode you want to see this year. Trust me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is
this the one that freaked me out?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is that, you know what? Oh my God, that movie was so freaky. I was just thinking about it today.
Oh no, that was the last one. That was
the last one. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the one that
I still don't want to eat noodles.
I don't want to blow. I don't want to spoil.
Yeah, let's not spoil it.
There's
it sounds good. I'm gonna tune in.
Yay! Well, you know what's really great is that I am going to make Joe's 80s, 90s joy explode out of his chest like a chest burster in these upcoming, and it's going to be cool.
Sold.
I can't wait.
I'm sold.
All right, everybody.
Awesome.
Well,
thank you guys.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And remember, that's always time to go in now. We'll see you again soon.
Always time to go in now.